the grand paradox of love. You see, we are all terribly afraid of danger and uncertainty in our relationships, and yet without them something feels dreadfully amiss. The very security we crave can become a kind of stagnation, a glass cage in which everything appears perfect, yet we feel restless, even trapped. Now imagine this: you have everything in your relationship just as you wish: exclusivity, predictability, a fortress of security. And yet, like a fine wine left unopened, there is something missing. Just starting eye, you can sense it, can't you? A whisper at the edge of your consciousness that says, surely this cannot be all there is. And here's where things become rather interesting, because excitement and security in relationships are not lovers who walk hand in hand. No, they are dance partners in constant motion, each pulling and yielding, never fully at rest. Too much stability, and love becomes stale. Too much chaos, and love dissolves into madness. And so, the wise lovers learn to tread the razor's edge, to balance themselves between the thrill of uncertainty and the comfort of knowing they are held. So, what does this mean in practice? Well, I have found that to truly breathe life into love, one must embrace two things: responsible danger and predictable uncertainty. Let's take a closer look. Now, most people believe that avoiding risk is the safest way to live. But I say to you, the absence of risk is the greatest risk of all. A relationship without challenge, without friction, without the occasional storm, becomes fragile, complacent, and altogether unremarkable. You see, love, if it is to be truly alive, cannot be hoarded, clutched, or locked away in a vault. It must be allowed to flow, to stretch itself beyond its comfort, to reach for something beyond the narrow confines of its own certainty. And so, we must ask ourselves, what dangers are truly worth embracing? Not reckless abandon, mind you, but the kind of danger that sharpens the connection, that deepens trust, that allows each partner to see themselves not as possessors of one another, but as adventurers in a shared unfolding. For me, stepping into this space of responsible danger means embracing vulnerability, allowing my partner to see the parts of me that tremble, the parts that fear, and the parts that rejoice in their joy, even when that joy does not center around me. This is where true self-discovery takes place, not in the comfort of control, but in the release of it. But there is another function of love, one that is often forgotten. A relationship, at its highest form, is not a mere exchange of comfort, nor a mutually beneficial arrangement to stave off loneliness. No, the true role of a relationship is to act as a gateway, to facilitate the expansion of the other. Each partner is meant to broaden the horizons of their beloved, to open doors they might never have considered, to introduce them to the vastness of experience that life has to offer, to make their world larger. A love that does not enlarge, that does not challenge and stretch and introduce one to new dimensions of being, is a love that has ceased to grow. And the moment love stops growing, it begins to decay. Now, here's a curious thing. If you only ever do what feels safe, if you only ever make choices that affirm what you already know, you will find yourself trapped in an echo chamber of your own making. You will only hear what you have always heard. You will only see what you've always seen. And love, dear friends, will become a slow, suffocating repetition of the past. But life, love, these are not meant to be stagnant pools. They are rivers, ever flowing, ever reshaping the landscape. And so, one must learn the art of introducing randomness into the structure. Not in a way that threatens the foundation, but in a way that breathes freshness into it. Now, why is this necessary? Because the mind, left to its own devices, will always seek comfort. It will retreat from what is unfamiliar, even if that unfamiliarity is precisely what is needed to grow. And so intentional unpredictability becomes a kind of training ground, a way of gradually dissolving fear from the relationship's decision-making process. For if fear is allowed to dictate love, then love is no longer love. It is merely another form of control. But as it is written, perfect love casts out all fear. And how do we learn this? Not in theory, but in practice. Over time, in steps, like a musician refining their craft. So, how do we do this? How do we invite unpredictability without courting destruction? Perhaps it is as simple as stepping into an environment that neither of you fully controls. A place where the old rules no longer apply, where you must move with what arises. Perhaps it is allowing your partner to explore beyond you, and instead of recoiling in fear, meeting them with curiosity. Perhaps it is adopting, even momentarily, the perspectives of those who see love differently. Not to be converted, but to be expanded. I, myself, have found immense value in engaging with communities that challenge my assumptions about love, about ownership, about connection. And time again, I find that what I resist most is often precisely what I need to examine more closely. So, I leave you with this. A love that refuses danger is not love. It is a contract, a negotiation, a shadow of what could be. But a love that walks boldly into the unknown, with trust as its guide, becomes something truly alive, something to consider.